What is going on today, guys? Tomcat here, and today we are back in Forza Horizon 2, going over a little bit of a not quite so normal drift car. Now, a lot of the drift cars that I've been using lately have been either really big horsepower or kind of along the side of either swapped or usually, like, it's a lot of stuff that's kind of obvious to a lot of drift builds, and I kind of got that. I was like, well, okay, I wanted a little bit more of something different, a little bit more of a challenge, and I was looking through my Horizon 2 garage and noticed that I had a Diablo SV with a paint job on it from the Forza All-Star Bash, which happened a while back. It was quite a while ago that actually happened, but it was a super fun time. And we got all of the Forza YouTube community out there, and pretty much everybody in the Forza YouTube community. We had huge channels all the way down to a lot of the some of the smaller channels, some of the really small channels, and it was really cool to get like all the community together and have, like I said, Forza All-Star Bash. It was really fun. I mean, I remember we did a dirt race, an off-road race, and God, it was like somebody jumped over me, and then I jumped over Aero HD, and it was like just craziness, back and forth, just ridiculous. But the main reason why I wanted to use this car is kind of because, not only because the mid-engine layout is not really that popular for drift cars, but it was mainly because I wanted to try something a little bit different, because 99% of my drift cars are boosted. And, I mean, it's pretty obvious, you know, you want to get that little bit of extra, you want to extract as much horsepower as you can out of a lot of these cars, or you want that boosted sensation in a lot of your drift cars. And I personally like the sensation of the turbo lag, and, you know, being able to kind of balance it so you know when the boost is going to hit, and almost using the boost as an alternative to kick the rear end out, like almost like you would use the e-brake, but if you know how to time the boost and time the turbo lag, it's a really cool technique, and you get into a flow with it. But using a totally naturally aspirated car, it has been, which with this car, and something, you know, sub 800 horsepower, has been actually really fun. And I think a lot of the testing that I did with it just kind of around the shipyards was almost eye-opening, because you get into the habit of using super high horsepower cars, and I'm guilty of this. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are guilty of the same thing, of just using nothing but just tons of high horsepower cars. And, you know, using, obviously, you know, this is like 650 something horsepower after the couple of things I did to it, so it's still high horsepower by a lot of standards, but by Forza standards, high horsepower is like 900 plus. So, I mean, when you put it in perspective, it's not quite as much as it seems to have like a 650 horsepower car in, you know, in like, say, Horizon 2. And what I've done to this thing are just a few things. I mean, I've done exhaust, I did race cam, I did, let's see, the engine is stroked out to 6 liters, so it's up bumped up from 5.7, and I mean, the thing is about a 6-liter V12 with a race cam, you have to keep the revs up. If you're not keeping the revs up, you're not getting anything, and it's almost like having a boosted car, which is kind of a weird thing to say, how I wanted to get kind of away from all the boosted cars for a little while, but then I just built something that feels like it's boosted in a way. So I don't know, it's an odd kind of a little medium, kind of like a balance. But once you find a balance with a car that you like, then you get into a rhythm with it. And this thing is really fun to hold, like really hold good angle with, because you can get some really good angle out of this car, considering the fact that it's running like it's like 0 degrees of camber in the rear and like 3.5 degrees negative in the front, so it's got like crazy negative front camber, but it honestly, it helps it. I mean, and it kind of feels front engine rear driving away, and even though it's mid-engine, and this is like the biggest fail drift I've ever had. I mean, just like drift up and get stuck, not even crash, just get stuck. I was hoping to do some kind of like stylish, you know, almost kind of like, you know, let the car kind of ride up the side of the ramp halfway, and I was, you know, it was going to be all cool and epic and all this and that. It's just turned out to be like, and we're stopped, and we're here, and that was supposed to be, see, that's the thing with that one. It was going to be great, and then I shifted into reverse, and I was like, crap, we've gone the wrong direction. But I remember doing that back in Horizon 1, where I was doing a drag race with a friend, and for some reason, I don't know why I didn't have it in first gear. I went backwards when he said go, And that's one of those things that you just do it once, and it's like, for the people that you are with, you'll never live that down. That'll always be there to come back at you, no matter what. Especially if you go to drag race again, something like that will always be there. But I think the biggest thing with this car is that it's just a lot. It's a lot of fun because it's different, and it's a really smooth car to drift. But at the same time, it's not but at the same time, it's not super easy. And I feel like a lot of these mega horsepower cars sometimes get to be a little bit too easy, and in order to make it interesting for yourself, if you drift that much in Forza, sometimes you have to tone down the horsepower a little bit. And I mean, because it right there at about 7,500 to 8,000 RPM in second gear, I don't know what the heck that line was. That line was just stupid. But at about 7,500 to 8,000 RPMs in second gear going sideways, this thing is beautifully balanced. But other than that, you really have to work with it to get it to do what you want. And that's kind of the characteristic of a car that not only will it make, and I don't know why it started to go down. It was like the first half, I was just like, yes, I've got it, it's good to go. And I started trying like a couple of funky like different lines and started to hit things. But that's the thing about a car like this, is that when you find a car that's got a little bit of an edge to it, a little bit of a challenge, but when you get it right, is so much fun to drive, then you end up with something like this. And then, I mean, also, just staring at the back end of a Diablo SV, there's nothing wrong with that. And, well, there is something wrong with the fact that we careened into a shipping container, but there's nothing wrong with the fact with having to just stare at the rear end of a Diablo SV. It's gorgeous. But, and also, the fact that every time I look at this car, I'm like, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit from 1999. I'm like, yes, that is all I think about when I stare at the back end of this car. And just remember how much I played the original Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. And it's just like, wow, this car is like, almost like the epitome of a... It's like the epitome of a memories car. It's just like you have so many memories of older games, and you're like, it was hard to put this car down. Like, just to kind of put it back in the garage and switch to something else. It really, really was, because the paint job brought back some amazing memories of the Forza All-Star Bash. I mean, and then the car itself brought back memories of, of older, like, Need for Speed games and stuff like that. It was just such a fun car to drive, such a fun car to use. And I really, really recommend building one because it's really fun and it's a really nice challenge. So all you got to do is bump it up to around about 650 horsepower, 0 degrees camber in the rear, 3.5 degrees negative camber in the front, and that's pretty much all the setup on this car. There's really nothing else done to it other than that. But if you guys enjoyed this build and enjoyed this video, then don't forget to leave me a like. Tell me in the comment section down below what you guys thought of it. And if you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe for more, and I will see you guys in the next one. Talk to you guys later.